check and see if Chief Schmitz has anything to say to us.
You hope so. Good morning, Commander. We think we need two mics, one high one and one for you. Yeah. Good morning, Commander.
Good morning.
Members of the board, and welcome everybody. Thanks for coming out and listening to me chat around about nothing sometimes. But I just wanted to start out two things. I heard your 290. Where did he go? He was just here. The chaplain just was here. I was like, where did he go? Like a ninja. 296 days till Christmas. I didn't know if that was a plug for the toy drive for MCSO, or maybe that was for thinking of me and giving me a present. That would be cool too. So, but either one. There he is. We were just talking about you. See what happens when you walk away. So fire department stuff, obviously it's not warm today, but it has been warming up, and so my public plug is to just watch out after one another, make sure you're drinking lots of water. It's still really dry here. We've seen hardly any rain over the last 6 months, but just stay drinking water. I know it makes you get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, but please drink water. So we see a lot of dehydrated folks. This time of year, obviously, we're working through our budget process. It's a big task. We have to look at I call it the big 3 or 4 items, which is our pension costs, our healthcare costs, workers' comp, and then obviously salaries for our men and women that serve here in Sun City. One of those things that we realized this year is we do get a new net assessed value every year from the county. Last year we saw a 6.1% increase. This year for some reason we're only seeing 1.5, which does not allow us to even make ends meet. So that's why last week, if you haven't heard about it yet, or you probably have heard about it, our board has decided to institute a fee for non-transport medical calls. So now this is going to be new. We're starting this July 1. There'll be a lot of information that comes out. So this would be if any times I see some people trying to figure out what a non-transport medical call is, but what that is we ran 15,641 calls for service last year. Of those, we only transported about 7,000. And I know we're not running 8,000 fires every year. That's a lot we're coming out, checking on Mr. and Mrs. Smith. We're doing a blood pressure. We're taking a 12-lead EKG to see if you feel okay, you have a weird flutter, or we're helping Mr. and Mrs. Smith up off the floor. And unfortunately, at this point in time, the fire department it's our breaking point. We're running busier. We're one of the busiest, if not the busiest, fire department per capita in Arizona. And our folks are I've lost 5 people to the city of Goodyear alone in the last 2 years, and that gets expensive. It's because of our high call volume and our costs. And I see MCSO over here, I know they've lost a bunch of deputies to Goodyear too. I think Goodyear's printing gold right now, their money over there. So I hate to do this, but it's something that we need to find us additional revenue sources. If you don't know, Arizona legislation dictates our rate cap. So even though we have 5 elected officials on our governing board, they only can tax so much, levy so much on property taxes, and then there's this cap, and we've been at the cap for years. Legislation has increased that cap a little bit over the years, but what they did in turn was lower the commercial overall taxing authority for the commercial properties, their percentage. So it really was a wash for us. We didn't really see any positive gain in that. And obviously inflation cost, I know I've been up here before talking about truck cost and turnout cost and all these things. I know Maggie's in the back there. They do a great job with our auxiliary to help raise funds. But when you're running a $21.5 million budget and employ 100 employees to make this happen, unfortunately, I appreciate everybody's donations, but when you get 50 to 75,000, it's a small amount compared to our overall working budget that we run. So do you guys have any questions on our budget, or look at all the hands? I love it. So let's start with you right there.
Have you already figured out what the fee will be for the non-transport calls?
So we already have a standing fee that was approved many years ago for folks that when we push drugs, i.e. like Narcan, if we go out on a drug overdose, or if you have low blood sugar and you're kind of sure coma, we push dextrose. It's $315.80. So that fee's gonna extend to all those non-transport medical calls. And we're working on seeing if insurance will pay that. What we're finding out, Medicare will not, but Medicaid will pay for that. So in the case of our most destitute, seniors that are on Medicaid already, it sounds like Medicaid will pay those lift assist already. or those type of calls. They have to be called fall injuries, not lift assist, and we have to do two sets of vitals, and there's gonna be a refusal form and get your Medicaid card and stuff like that. But our demographics in Sun City, 75% on Medicare, obviously 8% on Medicaid. So we have a very small portion that are actually on Medicaid, but Medicaid, from my understanding, will pay for those. But we never billed that way for those, but we're looking at least to help those citizens that are in the most need that are already on those type of insurance. So, yes, sir.
Do you have any discretion at all? For instance, I have a friend with ALS,
Mm-hmm.
and should he fall out of his chair, there's no way for his wife to pick him up and help him.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't need to go to the hospital, but he needs to get off before and back in his chair.
Yep.
Is there discretionary there?
Well, so, I mean, the fire department was designed and it started in 1966 by you guys, by the citizens of Sun City. It was for fire protection. So in the case of, if you didn't have a fire department, you either wouldn't be able to get homeowners insurance, or your homeowners insurance would be very expensive. So in the case of running medical calls, what we feel that we've become is helping people stay in their homes longer that should probably go, not always, but should probably go to an assisted living or a nursing home. And we've become that mobile nursing home, and it's just taxing our men and women and obviously our budget constraints that we have. So no, sir, that person would get a bill. Yes, ma'am.
For lack of knowledge, would it be easier to dispatch a medic versus the fire department? So
Yeah, so the whole person of why we're sending a fire truck versus two-person staffing. So obviously we're part of an automatic aid agreement here in the Phoenix metropolitan area. We have to have 4-person on a fire truck, and also at the same time, when we come out to help Mr. and Mrs. Smith, we don't know if you just ALS, tripped on a rug, what caused you to fall, or if you're having a heart attack, a stroke, other kind of symptoms, and we are a rolling toolbox basically. So that's why we come with 4, and that's, we have all the drugs, all those things to have intervention. And actually, most of the time, our ambulance doesn't even come unless we call for the ambulance to do that actual transport. Again, we're transporting less than half of our folks. So, and a lot of times 2 people, not always, but a lot of times 2 people in an ambulance can't pick Mr. and Mrs. Smith up. Sometimes you need all 4, so. Yep. Yes, sir.
Will that be applied to automatic aid outside?
So when folks come in, so outside we can't, this is just our district. So if we go to Peoria, which we run about 2,000 calls in Peoria, and Peoria runs about 2,000 calls into us, it's almost an even wash. Actually, we give Peoria just a little bit more than we receive from Peoria. They're our biggest partner because they surround us. I always joke we're the little spoon and they're the big spoon because they surround us to the north and the east and the south. But if Peoria does run a call in Sun City, we will bill accordingly for that as well. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I got a question. Obviously, I run the Safeway here in Sun City. We get quite a bit of calls. So you're essentially saying if I've got to call you guys out for someone that's fallen or having health issues, which happens on a weekly basis, if they do not take the ambulance, they will receive a charge.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. And specifically, that's something we're still working through for like nursing homes, assisted living, because we do run a fair amount of calls there. There is state legislation that says they're supposed to be able to provide CPR and provide assistance to lift the residents that live in there. But again, we gotta remember, some of these like Heritage Palmaris, they're independent living for some of those folks. Some are on the assisted living side, so that's a weird conundrum of what side are you living on. Royal Oaks is another example. Do you live on the independent side? Do you live assisted? Do you live nursing? But then they either don't have the staff to pick up them, or they say they hit their head, they want them evaluated. I know the city of Litchfield Park has an ordinance that they're billing. So actually they contract with Goodyear Fire. Goodyear Fire runs in Litchfield Park to one of their assisted living folks. They're billing that assisted living facility, so we can look at trying to do something like that as well. But again, we have a little different authority than a municipality does. So we're still working through some of these things. And like I said, more information will come out as we move forward. So I did meet, like myself and Mayor LaVault went down on February 17th to the Capitol. We met with Senator Champ, who covers Youngtown, Senator Carroll, who covers here in Sun City, Senator Payne, who used to be at Sun City area until the redistricting, and he's kind of over the Peoria area, and then House Representative Rivero and Pingarelli. And they were adamant, they understood there's a funding issue with fire districts. But they didn't think that this legislation body would pass any kind of rate cap or increase, which my ask was to get rid of the rate cap increase and let the local governing board appropriately set the levy where they need it to be to provide that service for the community that they live in. Senator Shamp, her words were as well, I think all the users should have a fee assessed to them, so all the users of the service. So that was Senator Shamp, and she's the majority speaker, or the majority leader of the House, in the Senate right now, and that's kind of the page we're taking from her. So, any other, one more question over here.
Me?
Yes. Go ahead, Sarah.
Mine's twofold. The number one, is that when, I might have missed it, does this go into effect? And number two, how are the residents of Sun City gonna be notified?
So July 1, and we will do our best for me to get out and do all the speaking engagements I can, and we will do our best to get it in the newspaper. I know Rusty's been posting it already on YouTube from our board meeting last Tuesday, last Tuesday was our board meeting. And we're gonna have a small PR campaign and some brochures and leave behind stuff so that our crews don't have to have that interaction with Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and it's already kind of like, here it is. So it is controversial, but I don't know what else to do besides, either that or shut down a truck or even run our folks even more on the ground and unfortunately lose more bodies. So kind of what it is. You wanna keep a fire department, we have to have funding. So write your senators, write your House of Representatives, and get behind us, and then there'll be more information as it comes out. Go ahead, sir.
Different question, but still fire related, and I do hesitate to ask, but we are patrol officers. If I'm not mistaken, there were 2 house fires in Sun City within about 30 days.
That is correct.
It seems like a lot to me, am I right?
It ebbs and flows. We've seen as many as 10 in a month, and then sometimes we get none in a month. This were 2 fatality fires in particular. Those are pretty unusual. From what I understand, are you asking specifically about the fatality fires?
The only way I can ask is, should we be aware that there's anything arson related to this?
So no, neither one of them look like arson, no sir. One of them was probably smoking materials out on the back patio, and potentially a consumer of spirits, and went in and is that politically correct? Went in and maybe took a nap in their bedroom, and unfortunately the fire went in from the patio into the home. And then the other gentleman, I believe, probably had a medical emergency and was cooking at the same time, and that caused that fire, so, yeah. Still under investigation though.
Is this fee just for Sun City area or all of the greater Phoenix area?
No, just Sun City and Youngtown, just our fire district. Yeah, we have a much different funding mechanism as a fire district than municipalities do. Municipalities do not have a tax on their, a cap on their levy of whatever property tax, like Peoria. If they need $100, it doesn't matter what the value of the home is or how high that levy needs to go to get that $100, they can do that. Plus they get state shared revenue, plus they get sales tax. As you know, we have no sales tax here in Sun City, so we have no sales tax revenue. There is some squabble out there about counties trying to institute a transaction privilege tax, which is a sales tax, to be able to pay certain services or help fund fire districts. As we also know, Maricopa County Sheriff's Office is very underfunded as well. And so it's a county kind of thing, but as us as a quasi special taxing district, we don't have the same funding mechanisms that cities have. So that's why we're struggling more than Peoria, Surprise, El Mirage. There's only about 5 fire districts in this Maricopa County area, and we're all facing challenges. Sun City, unfortunately, is one of the bigger challenges because of our call volume. For one, we have higher call volume than all the other fire districts in Maricopa County, and we don't have the same net assessed value. Our other fire districts in the area, like Daisy Mountain, which is Anthem, you got $1 million homes everywhere you look up there, so they have a much different net assessed value. Even our folks out to the west, Sun City West, the homes are double the cost in Sun City West than they are out here. They have a much different net assessed value to pull dollars from to fund organizations. So. And don't even get me started on Sedona. Sedona's a fire district, and they, tens of millions of dollars of homes laying all over the place up there. So they're rolling. I hate to say rolling in money, but they have a much different funding mechanism than we have here in Sun City. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just curious if there was any way it could be funded somehow through any other organization.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we do fall under state statute. There's I can get it for you. It's 48-402, I think is what it is. State legislation dictates this is a special taxing district, what we can and can't charge, and it comes in from property tax. We do get a little bit of revenue from our ambulance transportation, and we get a small portion of state shared revenue. We get what they call fire district assistance tax. If you ever look at your tax bill, you'll see that FDAT, they call it, fire district assistance tax. We see, and we cap at $400,000 of that, and that's, like I said, again, with our $21.5 million budget, that's a small piece of that, so.
So will you be expecting to transport a whole lot more people?
We'll see. It's either gonna transport more people are gonna get help in different ways, or, you know, the way I look at it is I know you can't move in an assisted living place in Sun City for under about $4,000 or $5,000 a month. If we have to come to your house for 3 times and it's $950 for that month, we saved you $4,000 for moving into assisted living. I hate to have that attitude, but again, I'm trying to staff a fire department and have it actually, because if we shut down, you guys are all gonna come crying when you don't have homeowners insurance, or your home insurance doubles, triples, or quadruples. And that's a tough line to say, but I'm trying to protect our men and women that are servicing you guys, and I'm just, where they're running into the ground. They're literally running into the ground right now. And that's why I have a mass exodus of people. If I can't hang on to them and I try to keep hiring, it's, you know, $40,000 just to hire somebody and get them to start delivering service to you guys. By the time they go through an academy and pay their salary and benefits and buy them turnouts and all that other stuff, so, yeah. Go ahead, sir.
Did you ever think of, or do you have, a transport package? So someone pays $300 and they get 2 rides instead of 1. Would that be something that?
Yeah, there has been, in the past, I know that Southwest Ambulance, when they provided ambulance service, and that was just for the ambulance transport, what they were doing is they would charge a fee, an annual fee for that service. But what that was doing is they would still bill your insurance, it would just cover your copay, if you had any copay or other type of pay. So it really wasn't that lucrative for Mr. and Mrs. Smith to have that service, for one, and for two, then it's managing, it's outreach, it's database, it's trying to shake folks down, so to speak, like, are you gonna sign up, are you gonna sign up, are you gonna sign up, and that takes a person, almost a full-time person in itself to manage that. I just don't see the juice and the squeeze there, so, yeah. Yes, another one, you only get one a day, no.
I know, sorry, I have 2 questions today, this has been a good one. So, as a business owner, owning physical therapy, if a patient falls in my clinic, will that liability go on me as a business owner, or will it go to the patient? And I know
Patient.
that's not insensitive.
The patient, yeah.
It would? Okay.
Unless there's an ordinance, and then, but I can't pass that ordinance, the county would have to do that. Yeah. I totally monopolize the meeting. Make it quiet. Thank you guys so much, I appreciate it.
Deputy Cornwall, did you have any comments?
I do not.
You're good. Okay, thank you very much. Amy? Sergeant
Good morning, everybody. I don't really have any comments. I'm just here for all of you guys that have any questions. I'm here representing the new sheriff, Sheriff Sheridan. He's a proponent of the sheriff's posse, and he loves all the community outreach that Sun City does. So I'm here to help support and answer any questions for any of you that are interested in joining the sheriff's posse. It's good to see your faces again.
Are you going to post which different posses you're interested in? Because I know there were a few that were, survived through the last several years, but are you going to post which things you're interested in?
So there's a whole bunch of questions, it sounds like, about specific posses and what posses still exist. I can provide all of that to Commander Anderson, so we can get it all out to all of you. Okay?
Thank you.
And if anybody has any individual questions for Amy, she is going to stick around after the meeting.